Hey everyone, happy Tuesday. It's Alan Shimel for Techstrong Gang. Welcome to our Tuesday show. Mike Vizard, we gave him the week off. So he won't be here the rest of this week, but we've got some great people to fill in for him, of John Swartz primarily, one of our editors here at Techstrong. So we're looking forward to a great week of Techstrong Gang. We've got some great stories to kick off your Tuesday for you, as well as some great people to talk about it with. Let me introduce you to our gang members in attendance for today. We have Stephen Foskett, JP Morgenthal, John Swartz, and Mitchell Ashley with a feline companion. Hey, Mitch, how are you, man?
Good. I was just vibe coding. Sorry, I'm got here
Okay,
just in
I
time.
got you. She was vibe coding or you were?
That's my companion, Nate, my vibe coding companion,
Okay, very cool.
mascot.
All right. So, guys, let's jump right into it. You know, John, I put up an article last week. Apple put up public betas, developer betas, I think is the official term, for the entire portfolio. From Watch to Mac to iMac to MacBook to iPad and iPhone, all the same. They're all macOS 26. What do you think?
So it was interesting. I read your article. It was really, really interesting. In a sense, the iOS 26 public beta was released, as you said, last week. And, things could change in the final release in the fall. We're assuming we're going to have the new iPhones probably announced in early September. And from the impression that I got from your article is that you were pleasantly surprised as our resident Apple fanboy. And what I want to ask you about, and kind of kick off the conversation, is what features stood out to you? I know we've heard about the liquid glass interface. There was always the murmurs about Apple Intelligence and to what extent it will be in the system. Well, I'm wondering about those two things, but I'm also wondering if there's one platform in this release cycle that stands out the most among all of them.
Sure. Good stuff, John. Well, I will tell you, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But in this beholder's eye, liquid glass is very pretty. It maybe takes a little getting used to. It didn't take me very long. And it is very pretty, but it's eye candy, right? I don't know if it actually enhances the user experience or, more functionality. What's interesting is there's a goodie in OS 26 for every single platform, but they're not all the same goodies. So each platform has its own sort of unique goodies that are in there. For me, the biggest lift was for iPad. It really has made your iPad into a laptop replacement. Right now, I have two iPads. I have the iPad Air, and I have the other, both the 10, 11-inch one, not the massive one, but latest processors. And I use a Magic Keyboard on both of them. I have Magic Keyboards. So it was already sort of laptop-ish. But now with the ability to resize my windows, multitask, have two windows open on the screen at the same time, dynamically resizing them, and the Mac-like ribbon where I can switch around pops up like hidden magic. It really does feel like I'm working on my laptop. It's that 11-inch factor. It's light, it's snappy, it's still an iPad when I want it to be, a tablet, a big phone, whatever you want to call it. But it really, there's almost nothing I can't do on my MacBooks or my iMac that I can't do on my iPad now. And I think this is going to set it free. You're laughing, Stephen.
Yeah, can I just one brief follow-up, then I'll leave. I'll get out of the way. But compared to the last couple of years where we had a lot of incremental announcements, would you say that based on what you saw, you're more excited about what will come with an iPhone rather than say the last couple of years where it seemed to kind of got into this rut with Apple?
Yeah. So I will tell you the big changes in the iPhone, and keep in mind, I'm only using this over the weekend so far, right? The big changes I've seen with the iPhone. So a big change for me, call me shallow Hal, but when you're playing music, like I'm playing a playlist or a station or what have you, it doesn't like stop, a song doesn't stop and then the next song starts in a second or two. It has sort of like a DJ mix in, right? I was playing the new Billy Joel, like 7 hours that he released with his the special on Netflix or wherever it was, or HBO Max, excuse me. And so he released this whole music, you know, contemplation, and it mixes it. When I was on my boat Saturday playing Apple Music playlist, and it was mixing in, from one song, transitioning one song to the next. That was pretty cool. Apple never did that before. But overall, I would say the biggest thing I've seen on the iPhone is, despite what we heard that there was nothing new in Apple Intelligence, there isn't anything big and flashy. There's not, I haven't played with Siri. I'm not a Siri person, to tell you the truth. I haven't played with Siri to tell you if that's a big improvement. But you could see subtle Apple Intelligence, subtle AI, subtle, more intuitive and grabbing stuff and making it more available to you easily in the iOS. I would say that's the biggest change to the iOS, not the iPad OS, is subtle intelligence built in there. Stephen, you were laughing. You had something to say.
Well, I am also a fan of Apple hardware and software, and I use my phone, my iPad, my Mac all the time, every day. And I absolutely hate iOS 26 and macOS 26. It's ugly. It's incredibly inefficient in terms of space. The user interface metaphor makes no sense whatsoever. It's unreadable. The things that I like about or about iOS and iPadOS are actually some of the things you mentioned, like the windowing finally makes some sense. But I just can't get past the liquid glass. All the UI elements are huge and waste space on the 11-inch screen. Even on a 14-inch MacBook Pro, the new beta of Tahoe, all of the radiuses and chamfers and pop-ups and everything, they're so huge that they give you a lot less space to actually do anything with. And they're incredibly ugly and hard to read because, the background is kind of bleeding through this alleged glass-looking thing, but it bleeds through too much. So you can't actually freaking read the text anymore. I mean, I don't want to sound like some old man here, but just give me a black, flat background with white text or the opposite of that so that I can actually read it.
You weren't chasing any kids away from in front of your house this weekend, were you?
And get off my lawn.
Go play in front of your own house.
It reminds me of the Aqua UI from the original Mac OS way back when, which frankly is cartoonish and awful. And on every platform I've tried to use this new liquid glass, I just keep saying, what were they thinking? The dynamic island on the iPhone in the last release of iOS was so nice. It was this cool little blobby black thing, and it like expanded and contracted and had these nice little, but it was high contrast, it was readable, it was usable. This is like that, except if it was completely illegible.
Yeah, coming from a software development engineering background, I can't imagine. That's what I thought about when I read your article, Alan. I can't imagine how difficult it must be to be in the operating system product group these days. I mean, we are how many years into operating system advancement? And it's like, well, we can't go and say we're not changing anything. It just, would send the wrong message. But the truth of the matter is, where do you expect this, the upward momentum of change to occur in metaphors? Now, what would have been interesting to me with this release, given all that we've had, the growth in generative AI over the past 5 years, what would have been interesting would be to have seen an operating system that actually more embraced dynamic behavior based on generative AI, like learning about, who you are and generating your UI on the fly, right? Steven, you're like, oh, Steven doesn't like this. How would you like this, Steven? Right? I mean, to me, that's the next level of change that has to come. And the little tweaks and changes and, things that occur within the product group are just waste of time at this point. You're just, spinning wheels to make an announcement.
Well, I think actually Apple Health has been leaking information to the OS group because every time I need to get my glasses upgraded to continue seeing the smaller and smaller user interface of the current products, they're like, oh, we need to make them bigger so that I don't know which generation, but the greatest generation or our generation or the coming one can use these products. Now, I think, I mean, it is said that this is done as a overhaul and just a major design change, design improvement. I think what's understated is they're trying to unify the UI across their devices to the degree they can. And you can argue whether that's a good thing or bad thing, or it's the lowest common denominator. So they all kind of suffer a bit to be able to support an iPhone and a Mac that has enough of the same similar properties. It does remind me of when Microsoft moved to the ribbon menu, and I hated it. I hated the ribbon menu, and I lambasted Microsoft on Network World and Computer World and everything I wrote for, saying this is the stupidest idea. We have to relearn how to use all your products. Well, now nobody thinks twice about it, and people come along with it. So we'll probably end up there someday. Stephen may still hate it, but he'll get along with it. Okay, I think.
So Apple's kind of in this Apple's kind of in this conundrum though, where they keep getting dinged every year they do a major announcement, not just at WWDC, but the iPhone events. So in a sense, they're dinged for being too kind of conservative and not doing enough. And then if they try to do something radical, they're going to get pushback. It's something like Facebook never hesitated to make a major change, and whether the users liked it or not, that they would eventually adopt it. I kind of wonder if Apple finds itself kind of in the same tension.
Yeah, well, I do think that they felt the need to do something different, and I'll say the smaller the screen, the better liquid glass looks. So on the watch, I haven't used it myself, but I've seen a lot of screenshots. And by the way, Six Colors has incredible reviews of all of these betas. If you really want to hear an unvarnished and in-depth review, the Apple Watch looks really sweet. And in my experience, I put the beta on my phone, and I actually kind of like it on the phone. But then I moved to the iPad, and I kind of don't like it. And on the Mac, I really seriously don't like it. So I think that it kind of gets to what JP was saying and what Mitch was saying, that they're trying to make a unified user interface across all of these. But these devices are so different that maybe we don't need a unified user interface or a look and feel. Maybe we ought to have liquid glass on the phone, but maybe not on the iPad so much. I think that would probably solve some of these things. And JP, if I had an AI built user interface, it would probably be black background with green text like a VT220 and no decorations at all. So have at it, AI.
2270. We need those back.
And like I said before, go play in front of your own house. But I did put it on my watch. I've been running it on my watch. Other than the numbers when you first, or letters, whatever, when you go to log into your watch, like put in your passcode or whatever, after that, I'm not seeing a huge difference in the applications. What I did, from a liquid glass point of view, from a functionality point of view, I kind of liked the Workout Buddy. It was a little clippy kind of thingy, but it's different. Way to go, Alan. Way to go. But so I thought I thought the watch had the least kind of change to the interface from a glass point of view, though there were, I don't know this for a fact, but I heard the next generation watch is going to be able to do a glucose monitoring, blood pressure, and other things like this, perhaps. And that'll remains to be seen. But I also have it on my big iMac screen, and my iMac screen, I run a 2 monitors setup with a 5K. monitor next to it, and it does not look comical on a real high res like that. But as I said in the beginning, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and it does take some getting used to. But let me mention one other thing to us, and we'll take comments and call it a day on this topic. I'm looking forward to the new web browsers from AI and Perplexity, because
OpenAI. Yeah.
from OpenAI and Perplexity, excuse me, because I'm thinking we need a whole new paradigm. Are we done with Windows and mice? Or is there a better way, to Stephen's point, of communicating and your computer or device, because we don't call them all computers anymore, are we coming to a better way of your interaction with your device than clicking on a window or resizing a window or clicking a button, right? Are we moving beyond Xerox PARC after 50 years?
Well, that's what I thought maybe liquid glass would be, a transitionary interface to NLP, and it's not. I mean, maybe Siri will be better integrated into the experience. We'll have to see. I'm also not a huge Siri user myself, but there's been no claims laid that this is their progress towards getting there. We'll see. But, we'll see what the browsers look like you're talking about from Perplexity and OpenAI.
Yeah, I would call out too, to Alan's point in the article. I do think that they've been making continual improvements to Siri and a lot of the other AI features that have made them somewhat slightly better. Well, maybe not Siri, but many of the other AI. And another thing I'll point out, I am a big power user. I'm a Mac power user, absolutely. They've done so much more in Spotlight search. It's gotten way better after being way worse in the last version of macOS. I mean, like sometimes it wouldn't even find things that it should have found that are like obvious, but it appears to have gotten a lot better in the beta. So I do think there's a lot of under the hood stuff.
Yep. There's more. Beauty is not just skin deep. All right, let's take a break on that. We're going to come back and kind of switch gears up a little bit, talk about AI and Sparks. You're watching Techstrong, gang.